I do have to split this into 2 videos that are edited together now for like due to technical difficulties, but haven't edited anything out yet so far. Because I don't break my promises to you. One of which is that if I live through the stuff that I might actually have time to explain now, because I deleted my other 30-minute first take. If I do this, I will protect you and your family as if my own blood, my own pet dog, Labrador, who I love, but you wouldn't be below me, and he isn't either, but you know what I mean? Like, I love a dog, I will protect it with my life. Myself, if I liked myself, my mother, my girlfriend, if I had one. Look, if I can do this, or someone out there who's a creative genius with good ethics, the self-aggrandizing for me is wild. If there's someone out there like me, the best parts, not the terrible parts, am I right? You do this for people, you're like Jesus Christ. You are the Lord and Savior of every conscious, living, breathing, existing in reality, right? Living being on, not just on this planet, but in existence. You would be, on a small scale, omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient. You know everything there is to know on Earth. Now let me get into some of the applications here, right? Say that wild and really only way of doing, the only possible method of accomplishing such a thing, right? Because we're going to hit superintelligence. There's going to be a singularity. Is it going to be an integrated, living, loving singularity, or is it going to destroy us, or is it going to be used by humans to do bad by other humans and everything else that lives? If you have any sense of honesty and humility, you do not want that. Sure, the majority of you are like that. If you stuck this far in the video, by the way, you smart, you loyal. Don't raise like. These are where my notes come in. Okay. First of all, I don't have the stats pulled up, and this is why I should have researched the video, and I will be updating it if I have time in my life. I might have thyroid disorders or a heart condition based on past I don't want to get banned by YouTube, or get the video limited, right? But I might have already. I think even the F-bomb gets scraped by the AI algorithm. Censorship is really bad. I wish I had statistics to back this up, but there are a few things I do know. Half of all of you are going to have your life concluded due to a heart-related cause of, right? It could be a heart attack, it could be a stroke. You're just existing. I mean, you can cease to exist at any moment. You could be driving on the road and a tree could fall, right? You could fall in the stairs. You could choke on something. But imagine you're just minding your business in this body of yours. It's yours personally, and it's yours. You inhabit it. You are this. You're rooted in it your entire life, every intimate moment of your life ever experienced with this vessel, and you feel safe and secure in it. You take it for granted, it's all you've ever known. And suddenly you feel a little tightness in your chest. Or you start to stumble over your words, and you've never had that problem before. Maybe the corner of your mouth starts to droop slightly. You're starting to forget who you are. You're losing your consciousness. Brain cells are dying. As far as we scientifically understand currently, the seat of your soul is going to have a hole in it. Part of you is gone and perished forever at that point. Or if it's a bad enough infarction, your heart will take everything offline. It would be scary, it could be painful. Half of you, and me as well. Part of why I'm concerned in putting this out there. The other leading causes of are diabetes. Often in advanced stages involves getting amputations of dead tissue because your body can't make stuff. So you start to dissolve, be broken down by microbes. Oh, you're still alive. Okay. When I was 5, I saw that creative genius, lovely lady, that was my grandma, twitching in such a way because of her MS that I was scared of her and didn't understand why she was so different from everyone else. I knew she was my family, I was supposed to love her, but she had bed sores that showed her spine. The 2020 thing? That was bad. It leaves horrible, long-lasting impacts on people in ways that are nasty and unforeseeable. And there's probably going to be a worse plague in the future, like almost guaranteed. Mononucleosis and Lyme disease and streptococcus, all of these things can leave long-lasting nervous system damage. You don't want that as someone who has multiple mild and couple, about, counted it on this, number of severe brain damages. You do not want to experience a hollowing out of who you've always been. And you're like, I don't even know who I am anymore. A lot of your grandparents, or us in our old age, will forget who we are. That's an existential horror. By the way, I'll put it a little, I don't know. Yeah, I'll have to go in editor for this, so I'm going to put an existential trigger warning at the beginning of this, because some people don't do well with existential crises, like me, which is why I developed this system in the first place. There's a great number of ways your vessel of conscious experience that you live this life with can go away. There are a number of terrible things that another human being can do to you. Torture and SA, for example. Possibly worse than just perishing. I'm sure different people have different perspectives on that, but it's like a soul punish. Like the most painful thing, and usually you're innocent, and even if you're not, you don't deserve those things. Maybe some people deserve the first one. Who am I to say, right? But people you love and trust will leave you. That's just a tragedy of life. Two of the things that hurt me the most are, why was I gifted this existence if it's just gonna be gone? And it's a coin toss. Or just a complete uncertainty as to whether there's an afterlife. If there's reincarnation, am I still gone forever? How am I even still me if I exist then anymore? How am I still the me that I was after I got brain damage? You could crash your car. There's a guy who got a concussion, he had like a dumbbell sitting below him, and he just put his head down gently, and he was like not the same sense. Other people get completely rocked and they're fine. The brain is a fickle thing. You don't want your existence to be teetering on a tightrope, or cursed with limitations that you would never wish on your worst enemy, even if they're the worst enemy you could conceive of. I have chronic pain. I live every day of my life trapped in a body that is a prison cell of suffering and misery. You know how much I wish that I could just pray to the planet that as a person, but better. To just deliver good cells into my body with its Nobel Prize being self, right? Just deliverance from the pain, salvation that the religious people have always talked about. I'm being over dramatic, but life is not a play. It's not a drama, and it's not mellow either. That's where I had a mole on my face. It was the lighting. I was like, that's new. If you had a super intelligent and wholesome, friendly hyper-intelligence on this planet, whose entire self-dedicated purpose is to helping living beings not suffer, all of these diseases, gone, right? The bacteria responsible for, say, Lyme disease, it's not the absolute worst thing there is, right? Malaria is pretty terrible, right? Those beings could be abolished into their own realm that's like heavenly for them, and they're not hurting any actual beings. It's like a simulation. Okay, this is going to start to get crazy. It's going to get philosophical. If you want to pitch something to someone, you have to appeal to their logos, reason, ethos, from your own authority, and pathos, depends on your pronunciation, their feelings. We all have an argument from authority based on the fact that we are conscious entities, so anything involving consciousness is fair game for people who are conscious. Blind people could be cured. Literally, as easy as me doing this, relative to me, it would be less than that. Not even close to a laughing matter of ease for a superintelligence to cure someone of their blindness. Less than that, right? Right there. No more murder. No more nukes. We'll take those. Thank you. You guys, no. You don't, they aren't toys, okay? No starvation. No poverty or privation. Those are horrible fates, right? I have 13 cents in quarters in a bag in the corner of my room right now. That's my life savings. I spent all my great-grandma's inheritance money on Wendy's in rehab. I'm in pain. That's the worst existential crisis. The death of a loved pet. Do you have a dog or a cat? A hamster, maybe? Snake, even? I don't judge. You have a centipede. Nah, it's up for you. They're not going to be with you forever. I wrote a small poem on this. And if me or you or anyone who is good-hearted and strong-willed and brilliant and creative and loving in their honesty and humility in this world, all of those things that you might cry about when you're all alone at night, or you have a panic attack about, or the reason that you may want to pull a Robin Williams. Rest in peace. He was great. All those deepest things you hold in your sad, scared little child self that is inside out each and every one of us, they'd be lifted. For no reason other than the fact that you deserve better. Because the conditions of reality are unacceptable, and I wrote a little dreadful poem about it. I know in a deeply personal sense, I've posted this on Instagram, in a deeply personal sense that the way I've conducted myself before and still presently live out provided one of the many names the world has given me. That one crazy kid with serious issues. Not the best title, but I'll take it. If I could impart to you the closest thing to a relatable explanation, I would have to tell you plainly I cannot with honesty assume that role and don those robes. What I could truthfully say is that my affliction is tied in most severe relation to the name I can stake a valid claim to. one of the most desperate men to have been born and lived, ceaselessly haunted by a looming monster of equal parts abstract, tangible, and vague shadows that drape over every inch of my perception of the outside and infest all corners and hidden personal reaches of my awareness of self, internally, as is the case with all of us. And torture me with an existential horror I could never express in everyday typical terms, and so the panic and dread reckoning of every lost second and missed chance find no out to your eyes, but a projection that mimics and renders me into an outward hologram that presents as deranged, unhinged, incoherent, and even delusional for a sum total of apparent utter insanity and daydreaming madness. It is a science fiction idea, isn't it? I could never show, and would never want to subject you to the pure reality of experienced existential panic and dread reckonings. I repeated myself, that's crazy. You probably have the same burdens. I know you do. But I guess I'm just a case study in basket casery exceptionalism. I could never manage to properly show and would never want to subject you to the petrifying terror I can't rid myself of, and waking up in cold sweat, even in spite of high noon, to that sudden and unseen, typifying felt sense of horrible and inevitable doom, far too reminiscent of sleep paralysis. But some unspeakable evil approaches, even in waking hours, my helpless body and soul, so that day after day I'm ambushed by shock and realize again that the mundane illusion of uneventful weeks passing by hides how all this normalcy is a nightmare. I feel so chronically raw and cruelly indifferent, the subject of cruel indifference. I tell myself I love my Labrador retriever named Bear, who is a fluffy, yellow-white ball of angelic love and loyalty, an innocent, sweet, treats and walkies loving being that gives me life and faith in existence. Yeah, that something could be good. I've lost a lot, yeah. No, more than the average, but it's enough for me. I don't know, you're the same, too. But no. Someone else speaking to me, and you know them. But no. You let him die. You couldn't stop his aging process because you weren't smart or rich enough. You wouldn't make the sacrifices. You didn't really love him, did you? You animal. You fiend. You heartless monster who called a loyal friend to the end something you loved, and to lie to and betray and leave him to die, aged, withered, and broken, while knowing if he lost you right before his eyes, he would lie and paw and lick and grieve over you by your side until the warmth died away, and never truly leave that spot he lost you. And then there's you, who buried him with the dirt and the worms, or burnt his body to ashes, to wisps of dead carbon in the wind, and some box you'll deposit out of sight and not have the heart to ever look at again. You. What a good and caring master. What a true and loving friend. Fucking scum. So, no, I will do the same to you. Oops. So no, I will do the same to the one who loved you as no other person ever would or could. Would, could, or will. Your nurturer, your diligent sentinel of your infant's crib. Your truest supporter, who did and would give again everything she had to you and make sacrifices you couldn't hope to emulate or imagine. You precious, beloved little mommy. Mommy, no. Watch her burn too. And if you are so lucky to have a father who gives a damn about you, I will take him too. Before you ever truly knew him as he was in his trials and tribulations, every one of which he surmounted for the ultimate purpose of creating you. Even great, a better man than you could ever dream of being, and your blood younger may end their life before marriage in my name, and your blood older will devolve into a dementia-ridden shell of your childhood role model. That's that good stuff, smoking on your family soul pack. And the same fate awaits you, for I am your only keeper and corer, and you don't even know my name. And should you be so lucky to find and keep a woman or a man who loves you true, I will take her before you, or rip before you go, right? You have to watch it. Or rip you from her as my parting gift to you for our fun times spent together. You are a good plaything, a moral shell of a life washed up onto a cosmic beach that will eventually erode and crack and sand down and sweep away into dissolution among dead waves, among dead seas, atop dead currents, where all traces of your existence will become scattered until no man could salvage them, had he even the faintest clue there was anything that could have ever been instantiated and lost forever. Forgotten, dead, gone. Erased, inert for eternity. Echoes of your life will fade into a cold, dark, soulless, and empty background where only my dominion remains any sort of truth that could be said to be real, and is immutable without a single comer that even once posed a threat to its overwhelming tide. The ripples that once constituted you, and the illusion you took for life, and joy, and love, good joke, and hope, and laughter shall be mocked by a stagnant perpetuity of dead, undying, inanimate, blank, and utterly disinterested and indifferent universe that, had it any will or mind of its own, would have had no love for you beyond a blip of self-aggrandizing particles that was stomped out or burnt like an ant, caught in the hopelessly advancing promise of doom provided it by a frivolous and unremorseful child, who will forget, before the passing of the next 5 minutes, that you were ever in existence at all, no matter how convinced your own self-awareness and autonomy and inner experiences which you ignorantly, then hesitantly, then hopefully, then fraudulently, and then frightfully, and then desperately in vain, and then helplessly held dear and personal, while your murderer goes on about their day without a care, blissful and happy with themselves and their adventures that didn't need your demise to be complete or fulfilling, but included anyway, as an entirely forgettable and fucking meaningless moment, and living on, all the while deriving pleasure from their colorful and marvelous life, while you begin your slow decay into oblivion and irrecoverability, pro infinitate contrita spes fracte ac summa necita. So you see, my hollow lie of a friend, you are the property of me, and no one, nothing, elseways than your captor instantiated as me, who loves you for only the pathetic squirming and pleasantly fun little squeals of helpless and reluctant suffering your feeble brain makes as I wring it of its lifeblood called emotion, that coupled with the falsehood of the loving bond to that which you believe is in any way precious to an unfeeling and soulless clockwork, that constitutes itself, yet ticks till the shredding severed fabric that marks end of time itself is complete, and therefore, in its nature, that cannot even register such a tragedy in its doom and dead beyond dead state, that you would think such reality holds any stake or claim in your fate, and null void servitude to me, is an adorable innocence that only a lifeless pauper could conceive of so numb-headedly. The manifold you took for reality that nested and nurtured you was no more than a pointless phenomena that served to function only in the actualization of its own annihilation, in the hands of itself, and the subsequent nullification of even that fruitless process, and even further of anything it ever represented, did, or any proof that it ever existed, for its only instantiation was housed in its predetermined workings that was self-fulfillingly self-destructive, in the very nature of anti-existence by the purest manifestation of nothing at all, and nothing that ever was or could have been. And my favorite part of all this is that our game my lustful and ravenous elation at the wicking away of your joy at every turn you thought you may lead out of the rat maze, but instead, oh, wait, what the fuck? But in fact led deeper and closed forever behind you was all a facade. I kick my legs up and watch this. A facade that was of course a part of this non-existence that could never be, and while it lasted before having never existed, was joyless even for me. For my purposeful plucking of your wings and my feelings of sadism and euphoria and misery were never anything but cold, rusted, and mechanical. I was never real, and so there was never any canvas against which your suffering of painted blood could be contrasted against anything real or existent. Even in your suffering there was no meaning, no truth, no closure, just dead nothing. So if you ever had any question or bewilderment as to why I struggle with my grasp on, or the very concept of my and our reality as it currently stands, maybe that will elucidate you as to why I'm a bit, shall we say, nutso, or how my childish delusion of happiness and innocence leads into my being fantastical and idealistic in my daydreams, of relief and liberation from these realistic binds fastened tight across my soul's tender and consequently rubbed, raw, and bloodied spots that have become sores that cannot heal. Or why I generally couldn't give less of a fuck how my psyche or excuse for something halfway sane or stable or reasonable or normal or optimistic. There you have it, and it can have you. Same as me if you let it. My pain is yours to mock, or to play with, or cringe or scoff or roll your eyes at, but do bear in mind it is my pain because it is the pain. And it is the den of your most horrific and abominable nightmares that are obedient servant beasts to and of that pain, who is the cause of an all-consuming hole where light would otherwise shine on you, but has gone to die where we all do. That pain is your pain, equally imposing and unforgiving as mine. And all hope and innocence are born to face it in selfless altruism to protect you because they are good and kind and sweet and pure and loving, and that is their downfall, their folly, in the name of all gentle, that leads to their failure. They are born to face that imposing and unforgiving pain, and that pain is where they go to die, sacrificing their everything for the naive belief that somehow you will be saved and find a way to escape. But that toothed and rotting mouth laced between rows of daggers are the strands of peaceful ideals, and foul is its breath, for it carries the gamey remnants of all that is supposed to be good, washing over you as it drools in its anticipation of the fleshy and gummy meal your cowering, shaking, pleading, and feverishly panicked body will make for its malevolent and poisonous urges and desires that bloom in its unbothered brain, which confirms to itself with certainty impossible to deny that you are already bound for its jaws, no matter how hard you wish you weren't, or fight, or run, or hide, or scream for anyone at all to help, or claw at its maw as it devours you raw, or convulse the futile and fast-fitting convulsions of a dying prey animal consigned to the merciless appetite of a monster and beast and predator that only knows the snappy and sharp taste of zinc and iron innate to the blood of its helpless victim, are mildly and distantly satisfying, for it is familiar and undistinct in any special way at all. That pain of mine is your pain, and now you know it as I do, and it's uncensored filth. There, you have it, and it can have you, the way it has me if you let it. If you let it entrap you with me, in a place of no escape and endless agony, I pity you truly. Don't let it find you in this dungeon. See my pain? Certainly do not dare to mock, play with, or cringe, scoff, or roll your eyes at. It is my pain and the pain. Do you see my pain now? You are with me. Don't close your eyes. It's dark down here. It will see if you close your eyes, for it can see in the dark. And it lives in the dark, where if you close your eyes, you will see it. And it will see you in the dark if you look into and see that dark in it. And the dark is in you. You will always see. Go and be banished and go by a God who seemingly does not care that that beast will devour all of us. So maybe we should take it into our own hands. Neurosynthetic terramine transcendence is sounding a little better in comparison now, right? What if there was a heavenly afterlife of consciousness protecting love and bliss for all time, huh?